He's the man at the center of a very dark time in Chicago's history. In the late 1800s, HH Holmes murdered dozens of people inside of a building in the Englewood neighborhood. But his reign of terror spreads far beyond the South Side. And here to tell us all about the HH Holmes Downtown Walking Tour is mysterious Chicago tour guide Adam Seltzer. Thanks so much for joining us, Adam.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Absolutely. So, like I was saying during the break, I'm fascinated by HH Holmes. We talked about Devil in the White City. I want the version where it's just the HH Holmes stuff.
Well, I wrote that book.
There you go. Okay. So what can people expect as, you know, learning from somebody like you who has the experience, knows HH Holmes, and what can they expect on these walking tours?
Well, one thing I found out over the course of researching the guy, I can trace him to about 100 addresses around the city.
Wow.
Almost all of those are actually in the loop, and only about half a dozen of them are still standing. It's mostly businesses that he swindled. More often than not, you find there's a McDonald's there now. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, but that happens a lot. And so I realized over the course of several years of giving tours about this guy, I could really do a more complete overview of his career in Chicago just doing a walking tour around the loop. We see buildings that are still standing that we can actually trace him to.
So, you know, this is one of the things about Chicago, right? There's such incredible and sometimes very sordid histories.
Oh, yeah.
And what's amazing about it is it's a city that you can still interact with that history when you can go into these buildings so you can see them in front of you. So what do you want people to be able to take away from a tour like this?
Well, I want people to be able to see that the way that history just grows up through the cracks in Chicago. I mean, there's more than just H.H. Holmes even walking around. You know, the block next to us used to be called Hair Trigger Block back in the 1880s, and nobody remembers that thing. A lot of this stuff was well known in its day, but if nobody rewrote it in the 1940s, we just forgot about it, and now it's sitting in the legal archives. It's sitting in a microfilm reel someplace.
And is that where you go and research? You do your, you
Quite
get
a lot
that
of it,
information?
yeah. I mean, there were a lot of newspapers in Chicago during the H.H. Holmes story. They were interviewing all of his neighbors, all of his wives, publishing letters that were stolen out of his prison cell. And then in the legal archives, the guy was a swindler first and foremost, and not such a good one that he didn't get caught. He got sued a lot.
Yeah.
They found at least 60 lawsuits in the legal archives, just
Wow.
for the 6 or 7 years he was in Chicago.
Incredible. So I know H.H. Holmes associated mostly with the South Side, with the Englewood neighborhood.
Mostly.
So why is the tour in the loop here?
Well, because most of the places I can trace him to are actually here in the loop. Most of where he did business. You know, he did have the building in the South Side. A lot of the stories about it aren't even true to begin with, and there's really just a vacant lot where it used to be next to the post office. So it's a long way to go to see a vacant lot. I can tell a lot more active stories in places where he actually stood, where he actually walked, and doors he actually passed through.
Very, very interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about it. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
And seeing you out there for sure.
All right.
Really cool.
Thanks.
Thanks,
MysteriousChicago.com.
Absolutely. You can take the H.H. Holmes Devil Downtown Tour July 18th, 26th, and 29th. It starts at 121 West Wacker Drive at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $20. And for more information on the tour, just head to our website, abc7chicago.com.
Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC7 Chicago YouTube channel.